Hello people of the internet, look, I have more alcohol markers to review, but this time these ones were bought with my own money. And these are the 168 Chotune Alcohol Markers, and what is different about these are brush tip and fine tip, which if you know about alcohol markers, there are not many brands that are that combination. Most alcohol markers are chisel and fine tip. There are some that are chisel and brush tip, but very few are brush and fine tip. So the Ohuhu Honolulu B are brush and fine, and the DecoTime markers in the UK are brush and fine. So when I saw these come out, I was like, oh, brush and fine, I might review those. And then what actually made me review them was twofold really. Number one, there's a lady, one of my subscribers, who keeps recommending these. I keep seeing her recommending them, saying, oh, they're really good, they're as good as Ohuhu. And I thought, oh, are they? Are these the diamond in the rough? And the second thing was, I really like brush and fine tip markers. They're my go-to, and I use them a lot in colour by numbers. And if I can use cheap alcohol markers in colour by numbers and not the more expensive Ohuhu ones, I'm up for that. So I decided to buy them. I bought them before Christmas, and then they went out of stock. And I was like, oh, well, there's no point in me reviewing them if no one can get them. So I contacted the company Chotune. Keep wanting to say Chotune. And they said they're coming back in. They've been chatting to me on and off all through December and the beginning of January, and they're coming back into stock at the end of the month. So I thought, great, I can do the review now. So let's have a look. First of all, I have done the swatch ahead of time. Yay me, because I know that not everyone likes watching the swatch. Now, these are the standard Shinhan colour numbers. Now, if you are new to alcohol markers, you may not know what that means. Shinhan is a Korean alcohol marker brand, and they are a professional brand. They're kind of like the Asian version of Copic, really. And when Chinese manufacturers jumped on the bandwagon of making alcohol markers, they copied the colour ranges from the Korean Shinhan range. So the inks in these are not made by Shinhan, they are just the Chinese version, manufactured version of them. So you can get refills for Shinhan markers. So you can buy, that's the name of the Shinhan alcohol markers, Touch. So, and not all the ones, you can get all these ones, you know, that you can get, fake ones, Touch New, Touch Wood, Touch Mark, Touch whatever. The original Touch markers by Shinhan are a professional Korean brand, and these are the alcohol marker refills for them. But because all of these cheap markers use the same colour numbers and the inks are pretty much the same colour, you can refill these and any cheap alcohol markers with the Touch refill markers. Okay, so bear that in mind. If you've got a cheap set and they're running dry, you can fill them up. Okay. Interestingly though, they're not usually worth filling up, because the reason why you can refill Copics and Shinhan Touch markers is because they come with consumables, ends that you can replace, bodies that you can replace, ink that you can refill. The cheap markers are cheap with cheap ends that don't come with consumables to replace, so sometimes it's not really worth refilling them because the body and the tip will run out first. That's all beside the point. That is a sidebar. So I have swatched them all. A couple of little issues came up when I was swatching them, which I'll cover shortly as we go through them. But they are pretty much a standard 160 set. So they've got all the standard colours, and then they've got the standard kind of pastel ones that come out, and then the greys. So let us first of all have a look at the brush tip, because that's what we're all interested in. What is the brush tip like? So let's just move these to one side. Hope they don't fall off of there. Get this pad and bring you down nice and close. So the pens are the standard pen that you've seen a million times. You know, if you buy any of these cheap ones, same body, same everything. This type of body has been around since 2020 when these started first coming out. So there's the bullet tip on that end, and then this is the brush tip. So let's put this. I've done brush tip reviews before to compare them. So this is the Chotune one. And I'm going to compare it first of all with Ohuhu. So this is Ohuhu. As soon as you open the Ohuhu, you get the Ohuhu smell, don't you? And then this is a DecoTime marker, which is a marker that's quite popular in the UK. Straight away you can see it's a much smaller nib on the DecoTime one. And then finally we are going to look at a Copic brush. So, super brush. Okay, so there you go. Right, so let's have a good play with these. Let's do the Copic first of all. Now, if you don't know, the Copic is it is a different type of nib than compressed felt or compressed fibre nibs, which most of the cheap pens in it. It means that you can do really thin and really thick lines, almost, you know, calligraphic, and it springs back. It's got a lot of spring to it. So that's a Copic. Then let's do the DecoTime. DecoTime, much smaller, tiny little nib in a DecoTime. This is a real compressed fibre nib. As I push it down to try and do the fine, you can see even if I do really light touch, I can't do a fine line with it because it is just a squishy fibre tip felt nib. So no matter how much I try to do a fine, it's not going to do it. Okay, and then we've got Ohuhu. Now, Ohuhu is kind of a bit of a hybrid, which means it's a bit firmer, and it also means I can do a little bit of a finer line. So if I am gentle, and then I can push down. Now you can see as well, not as jelly. If I go on the side, you can get that, but not as jelly-y as the Copic. Go back to the Copic again. The Copic is such a big tip. Similar. I would say the Ohuhu and the Copic similar. And then we'll go to the Chotune. Now I have had a set of cheap brush markers before. I got them in about 2020 or 2021, and the tips were not great. They were soft, just fibre tips. They just fluffed out straight away. I actually sent them to one of my subscribers. I think it was Scott, and it was in my great Christmas giveaway the year before last. So let's have a go on this one. I wasn't over optimistic about what these were going to be like. So they're not too bad, to be fair. I mean, I can't get a fine line out of it. How hard are they? Let's do a teardrop. So that's Chotune. That's Ohuhu. That's DecoTime. And this is Copic. Now if I bring that up, I don't know if you're going to see any difference, but you can see the Copic almost made a teardrop, and so did these first ones that I just used, the Chotune. These two, bit blobby, and that's because they're not holding their point. They're sort of giving a softer look. So Chotune, not a bad nib. Not fabulous, but not a bad nib. Nice and juicy, all those pens. Now, one of the other things, and let's get them all open again so we can see. Chotune, twin marker, Copic, and Ohuhu. Good thing about these two is they're square and they don't roll. You can buy replacement nibs for... it's going to come out, let's put it this way. That's so interesting. I have literally just tried to remove the nib from this Copic, and the inner core, the top of it has come off. I've never done that before, but it literally shows you how these are made. That's amazing. I mean, I've killed my nib, but it's amazing. Look, whoops. Can you see that? The felt cover around the inner core of the Copic nib. So the Copic nib inside is really, that is like a needle, hard point. That's what's giving it its strength and stability. And then over the top of it goes a little coat. Ooh, I'm gonna have to buy a replacement one for this. And that's what making that nib. I have totally screwed up that nib. I'm just not going to go back in there now. Now, let's hope I can get the, the Ohuhu one out without damaging it. Though in some ways it might be useful if it did come out like that. So let's get this one out. So, oops, splashing ink everywhere because they're nice and juicy. So that is the Ohuhu nib. Look how juicy that is. That has come out nice and easy. I'm going to take the twin marker nib out. Now, twin marker nibs are not replaceable. But that is a totally different nib. Like, you can't turn them round. You can't do anything with them. The good thing about... get that in. Put the lid on that. The good thing about Ohuhu nibs is you can see that they're double-sided. So each side is a point. So you can turn that round. If this side starts fraying, you can turn it around and use the other side. Turn it around, you get a new lease of life. Okay, so that's the Ohuhu there. So let's have a look at the Chotune, because the lady who recommends these, and as I said, if I can find her name, I'll post it on the screen. She's got a video where she takes this out and said, does that look familiar to you? So you can see you can take the Chotune one out as well, and it has a point on both ends. So that means, just like in the Ohuhu, you can take it out and turn it round. But let's have a good look at these two and see if they are the same. I forgot to turn the camera back on when I put them back in. So this Ohuhu one, you can feel it's got a level of stiffness in it, and I wonder if it's the same as that Copic one with a core. I've been told that that's exactly what it's like. It has an inner core. And then this Chotune one, it feels similar, to be fair. It's got not a bad, it doesn't feel quite as jelly-y as, say, the DecoTime ones, or even the Albiere ones that I had before. Alright, so that's us looking at all the tips. And just DecoTime, just for reference, is very, very, very floppy. Very, very floppy. You can see there's got... Can you see how that bends? That's DecoTime. It literally, the top of it just melts and fluffs up. Chotune. Definitely more integrity in a Chotune marker. And Ohuhu. Similar integrity. Okay. I would show you my Copic, but I've killed it. So, that all said, let me look at the couple of issues that came apparent when I was swatching the pens. So number one, first of all, orange came, when I took that out, there was a problem with number 25 orange. 24, is it 25? 23 orange. And that is the top of it was very, very fluffed up to start off with. You can see it looks like it's been squished. It's got a very fluffy top. I mean, it's still much finer to use than the DecoTime one. It still isn't, still got a little bit, but it's lost its point. It's very fluffy. The second thing you'll notice is the tip is much lighter than the rest of it. Now, none of the other pens that I have. So this is a Copic. You can see the colour goes all the way through. It doesn't not lighter at the end. And the reason why that is because this pen has been stored upright with this tip up, and the colour is starting to, it's not getting to the tip as easily as it should do. Now, there's always so many arguments on Facebook about whether alcohol pens should be stored upright or vertically, and this pen works by capillary action, and capillary action means inside the middle of it there is, let's say, a piece of cotton wool, and it is loaded with ink, and each side of it is basically a tip, and these tips work by sucking, they're absorbent, and they suck the ink out of the big lump of soaked cotton wool in the middle. That's called a capillary action. Now, if you store a pen this way, over time the ink inside the cotton wool will slowly begin to run down, which will mean it will start to pool at the bottom here, and you'll pull this lid off and it will splash everywhere and it'll oversaturate this nib, and this nib, as the ink becomes pulled away from it, will start to dry out at the tip like this one is. Now these haven't been, I've had them here for a month and I've turned them back on their side, so they're not as dry at the tip as they was when I first got them. So store them on the side. So that's one thing I wanted to point out on this one. Fluffy nib, and you can see where they've been stored upright. The next thing, and this is another upright issue, 3 of the colours, 25, 26 and 27, salmon pink, pastel peach, powder pink. So 25, 26 and 27. I'm going to do this here. If I do 25 first of all, salmon pink. If I do this side, it comes out that colour. And if I do, it almost looks like there's just no ink, no dye in the alcohol. And if I then take this side and do this colour, you can see that side has got colour in it. And this is another example of why storing them on the side isn't good. The alcohol pretty much floods the pen. The ink will pull away. The dye with inside the alcohol can pull away and do this lighter. Now I have 25 in these Vocula pens that I was sent before Christmas, and if I get number 25 in these as well, and I do the broadside here and the you can see that is a totally different colour. Now I don't know why the salmon pink is a totally different colour on the 2 pens. They should be the same, but I mean neither of them are pink. And this one is probably more salmon colour. This is either stored incorrectly or not great quality pens. Now all 3 of these and a few more beside are the same as this. Let's get powder pink, number 27. So again, if I do, that's the brush side, which again just looks like it's got no ink in it whatsoever. That's the chisel side, fine tip side, so you can see there's a bit more in that one. So if I get number 27 in my Vocula version, and we do the chisel on this side. Oh, is that 27? Yes, it is, powder pink. And then the fine on this side, again, you can see, number 1, that don't look like powder pink either. Number 2, totally different colour. And again, yeah, so what's the word I'm going to use? The consistency of the pens is not consistent. The quality of the pens is a little bit, you know, I can tell you how many were like that in this set, and that was 1, 2, 3. That was me testing the other colours alongside it. 4, 5, 6. 6 of those were, there may be some more on the other side as well. Yeah, some of these were lighter than they should be, but I kind of stopped counting. I would say there was about between 7 and 10 that the quality was a bit lacking. And then I've got some others here, fresh green and grass green, that I've put numbers against, and I can't remember why. 44, 44, 44, where are you? 44. Now I have reached out to the company about this, and explained about it. Oh yeah, 44 is another one that was very, very squashed, damaged tip, very fluffy tip. And I think probably 47 was. So there was quite a few like that as well. But on the whole, the markers themselves are not bad markers. So what you have to remember was these are relatively cheap. These cost me £51 for 168 pens, which is around 30p a pen. Whereas the Ohuhu cost around 120 for 168 pens, which is about 70p, so just over double. But are the Ohuhu worth just over double? Well, that depends, doesn't it? If you are 100% into colouring or using art and you want to keep your Ohuhu pens, change the tips when they run out, refill them with the refillable inks, then maybe go for Ohuhu. They're kind of like the step up. But if you're just starting out on colouring and you want a middle of the range set, I recommend these. I recommend these over DecoTime. I actually, if I didn't have the couple that didn't have the right colour ink in them and the couple with the fluffy tips, I would have been all over these you know, recommending these 100%. Like I say, there were a couple of issues. They may be rectified when the new sets come out. I think the company's going to send me a smaller set to sort of compensate for the ones that are a bit dodgy in this one. But compared to DecoTime, you know, DecoTime are what, 30 quid for 100, so that's 30p a pen. They're about the same price as DecoTime, and I prefer these. I need to add the smell test, because if any of you people know how much the Ohuhu pens smell, quite strong. I find them quite strong. Have to use them with the window open. DecoTime, if you're used to DecoTime, I feel DecoTime have got a much lesser smell. And then the Chotune, get them open, add that smell test to them. Yeah, similar to the DecoTime. These just smell like hand sanitizer. I find Ohuhu are not as bad as Sharpies. Sharpies, I can't even get near a Sharpie. Let's do a Copic. Copic, right. Sharpie worst, Ohuhu next, Copic after that, and then DecoTime and this brand, Chotune, about the same. Less smelly is what I'm saying. All of that rambling just to tell you these don't smell as much. Back to the main video. So, I guess all that's left to do is show you a bit of colouring that I have done with these. What have I done with these? I'll go and get it. I've done some colour by numbers. Here we go. I have done some colour by numbers in this. So I have I've done this one, which is very vivid and very bright. I didn't do that one. That was before Christmas. I did this one. And I also did this one. Really nice to do the smaller bits with the fine tip, and I did this one using the pastel colours. So they're nice, and they're still really nice and juicy. These are actually juicier than the Vocula ones that I got before Christmas and reviewed as well, which any other videos that I've mentioned I'll link down below. So do I recommend the Chotune 168 alcohol markers with the brush and fine tip? And yes, I do. For the money, I do. I actually prefer them to DecoTime, which I didn't expect to say that. I thought these was going to be not as good like the Albier ones. Don't get me wrong, I prefer the firmer tip of the Ohuhu. This is a firmer brush tip. So that's quite a firm tip there. But this tip is not bad. I think it will fluff up, and I think it will lose its integrity a bit quicker than the Ohuhu ones. But for the money, for half the price effectively, definitely a thumbs up from me. So thanks everyone for watching. Take care, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!